Tenzin Dorjee Tenzin Dorjee
Hello. I can't hear anything. Hello.
Hey, sing me do it.
Hello.
Sing and do it.
I can't hear anything.
Okay.
What is it? Kuch kaun sa chila da kin ke sum gu me do tane.
Tanda me do.
Tenzin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't hear anything. Yeah, now I can hear you.
You can hear me, but you can't hear Geshe?
Yeah.
Tenzin.
Hello.
저랑 somebody 고군도.
Ta ke sum tes ko ske. Tak me do ki be cham din sas.
Ale.
Yeah, now I can hear Geshe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Hello.
3 people over there, I think I don't know what they're doing. Okay. Sing do it, huh?
Ta ko do ken thada.
Hala, ta timba. Ani ta ngaran cho ali tambo ondo usene. Che duggoya ka ta duggo bi jun sen tenge ba do ngaran cho samalok.
I can't hear. Hello. I cannot hear now. Hello.
Oh yeah.
Ke ka yan sum da yan su lesken.
Lesson.
Ke da ko ta gwi ta ta de me do ke yan che du do wa ta.
Ale.
Yeah, right now it's fine. I think something, maybe connection was, then after a while it just kind of gets us, voice gets cut off.
Comes goes.
No. That is again. Right now it's okay.
Sing and do it.
Let's do okay.
So much time to take it. I think.
No. I can't sing that.
Olas.
No.
Tang aran to chamaloke. Chutungi Savagina, Dragambagina, Drakarina, Ale, Putadon, any Chu Dugubijin sitting about the sandwiches.
Couldn't say it can serve.
They tell it is.
I don't know. What I want to say first is this, that whether we have been following spirituality or Dharma for a while and maybe consider ourselves as long-term Dharma students, or that we have been into Dharma recently as new students, what is important for all of us is this, that we should consider and reflect upon the reasons why spirituality is needed in our life.
That's my dad. That only true do be take us now around to there's any river the chivo that live with so kind in a thing around to Google was that they you said the Hako.
I think somehow Geshe's voice is getting chopped. As we consider the reasons why spirituality or Dharma is important and needed in our life, this is one of the things we need to consider, which is deep down, all of us are seeking peace, happiness, prosperity, success. As a matter of fact, everything that is, that's good. So if that's what we are seeking, then it's really important to find out what could bring us all these good things that we seek. What is the source of peace, happiness, success, prosperity, and so on?
That the in Junkunte, only Che Changbook Tony Yungu, Kari is the Che de Yempe, and that Jew, Migiwata, Lumaten Tenta, Mazuri Maris. Still, I think there is some, problem in the phone line. Geshe's voice is getting chopped into little pieces somewhere. I'm just trying my best to listen to him. So now when we consider the source of peace, happiness, prosperity, and everything that's good, and we investigate what brings us all the good things we are seeking, we will come to see that actions are the sources which are negative or unwholesome, and actions and sources which are neutral in the sense neither positive nor negative. So those sources or the actions cannot and do not bring happiness, peace, prosperity, and all that we are seeking. Hati ngabado jugawala tenin debu dewan jonga ting shaba shene and the sene yane and ngaran so chudweta jaba shu travel shego was.
So the important point that I want to make here is, as we see and understand that it is from positive actions or wholesome actions, good karmas, as the real source of happiness, this is what really brings us all the good things that we are seeking. So with that understanding or the knowledge, then we should get inspiration to make more efforts and consistent efforts to cultivate spirituality.
Me check by the chu and Jibala Takaji Mundipri, Ransom Mundipri, Kandiki, Tindi Tolly Yumbian, and the Chamalo, and a Jim McGill Tany, Jim McGill at any Yungures, the Shumbaris.
We should understand that all the problems and suffering that we do not want, but we may experience and we do experience in this life, they are the results of negative karmic actions or bad karmas, and it's from our own negative karmic actions that we experience problems such as all kinds of sicknesses, or that we experience destruction by floods and by fire, and so other kinds of the problems that we face in our life.
This one ta migewate bangugar. Gewat dukang to dugugar.
So by talking about how good karmas bring good results and bad karmas bring bad results, so the lesson that we need to learn from all of this, or the real point of discussing and understanding these issues, is that we should apply ourselves into actions accordingly. In other words, that we pursue positive or good karmas which bring good things, and we learn not to create negative karmas or stop creating negative karmas. Otherwise, those karmas bring us unwanted, problems and suffering.
Ta ge mege ke le sasa ke sinanda ta le sasa ke yete ta zo sengin res.
So when we think in terms of accumulating and creating and accumulating both positive and negative karmic actions, the primary, if you will, the reference, or what we call the object of reference, is a sentient being. In other words, that it is in relation to animate beings or sentient beings that we create and accumulate positive and negative karmic actions.
Taya chöda sanji da chöda gendun la tene hin chabar chen tene ngaran sugu ta le sag yor tin na ta mang chewa tene ji singel ten sag yores.
What I'm saying here is that we mostly, underline the word mostly, create and accumulate positive and negative karmic actions in relation to sentient beings. Yes, of course, there are times that we create and accumulate karmic actions, both positive and negative, in relation to enlightened beings or realized or holy beings. But those are not as, as many, or not as, mostly as we do such actions in relation to sentient beings.
Ta ye singel la tene kan de sag yor sana ale doshin ta me ge yor le kan de sag yor sana pena rang lu che le ne so che pa ta ane majin bal lam ba ta ane de be lo par yem ba ta samal ta ye singel tengo to was.
So how is that we do most of our karmic actions in relation to sentient beings, if you ask? For example, we can talk about 3 negative karmic actions of the body, of physical actions, and they are killing, stealing, or taking what is not given, and adultery or sexual misconduct. Now, these negative physical karmic actions are created in relation to sentient beings. So by understanding how we create such negative karmic actions in relation to other people and other beings, then we should, stop. We should learn to stop creating those actions. And then let's, take a moment to talk about the 4 negative actions of speech, or 4 verbal negative karmic actions. And as most of you know, these are lying, causing disharmony, or dividing among, friends and, people who are close to each other, and using unpleasant speech or harsh words, and idle gossiping. So all of these negativities of speech are again created and accumulated in relation to other beings. Yes. And then there are the three negativities of mind, and they are covetousness, harmful intent, and wrong views or distorted views. Of these three negativities of the mind, the first two are really primarily accumulated in relation to other people and beings. With regard to wrong views, in Tibetan called lokta, there are different forms. For example, we could talk about a wrong view in the sense that one denies the law of cause and effect, or that one holds a wrong view of deny that the three jewels don't exist. So such wrong views are not something created or accumulated in relation to other sentient beings.
ane mege jubo te pa pang ne pang ba yin na di lo sho te la ne ta rang ke ne ge ta ge ma ji sa ge te na mi yi dong ma jin jing ge res mege jubo de sha ba yin na mi yi de mo ma ta ngar rang la me de pe jin jung ge re a te pang ba yin na rang la ge be ta ane de ba ta ji bo ta de bo de ji bo yi ta yu na de tong ni ge res.
So I have kind of gone through the list of 10 negative karmic actions of body, speech, and mind, and explained how we mostly create and accumulate them in relation to other people and other sentient beings. Having said that, so as we understand those negativities and then we stop creating them, then such actions become what we would call positive karmic actions of body, speech, and mind. And so our goal is to study and understand the law of karmic action and its results, and then follow it accordingly, in the sense that because we want peace, happiness, prosperity, and the best of everything, then we must do the positive actions of body, speech, and mind. Because we do not want any kind of suffering and problems, so therefore we must not do the negativities of body, speech, and mind. And what we should also understand, as from the explanation I just gave, is that sentient beings, who constitute the basis in some sense for our karmic actions, good and bad, are very precious. It is in relation to them that we do create, and we could create both positive and negative karmic actions. So therefore, we should understand, how sentient beings play, if you will, an important role, in our life.
Da rang le debu de jibu me de yisinji tong yong tong de yang dan dang dan rog de hu chabre de yin ne ta de hib sam tong me na ne yisinji de yong go res.
And I just, very kind of briefly mention how, peace, happiness, and the goodness that we are seeking, it comes from, how we positively relate to other sentient beings. But we really need to think more about these matters and try to go more deeply into this matter.
they is singing in Tobaris. Karayana, you singing Tembe and Trim soon, Tanging Tangiba, Migi written Zota, Migi Children of the soon, they top Jenning around Sultanda, and they meal with the number of the Tobate on Shumaris.
When we look at our life that is here and now, all of us have this wonderful, precious human life. And this wonderful life, is the result of positive actions that we have accumulated in relation to other sentient beings. For example, one of the essential causes of finding this kind of life, a precious rebirth, is to abide by pure ethics of abandoning negative actions of body, speech, and mind. And so we could only do that in relation to other sentient beings. Now remember that I just run through the list of 10 negative karmic actions of body, speech, and mind. When we abide by abandoning them, that's again in relation to other sentient beings. So then, that is the primary cause of finding a good rebirth, such as the one we're enjoying now.
That means you think of Torah and Aransol, Sayata, Koyata, Tonyata, Antonita, Manzo Zambu Yorova, and the Yorova, Shumba, the Kaneshum Bresana, Shewang Hama Rang Jimbatane, Sinking Yen Jimbatan, T. Namite, Round Tanda, or the Segula Soba, Segui Nimalasova to Samalta, Yapuj to Shumbares.
And in this life, we have, been able to enjoy good food, clothing, shelter, the place of dwelling, and so forth. And all of these things are the results of, good karmic action that we practiced in the past. Namely, that we practice generosity or giving in our past lives in relation to other sentient beings, and as a result, in this life, so we are not poverty-stricken. We are able to have good food, good place to live, and good clothing, and all these wonderful facilities. I'm not saying it's just simply just something I make it all up. As it is stated in the authentic Buddhist literature, and Geshe quoted the line, that it is very befitting for the resources or the wealth to come from generosity or giving, because generosity or giving is the primary source of resources.
Ali Kaldi de Segina Tanging Chu Dug with Junsite, Zave, the Jumsite Sound Yaputangus.
Just to kind of recapitulate the important points that I, have made thus far, I started off reminding all of ourselves that we really need to consider and reflect upon the reasons why we need spirituality in our life and what it could do and what it does to our life.
That Sinki Yen and New Garceta, Sinki Yen let them never stage member that cargo.
So the bottom line is that, is this, that if we do want happiness, prosperity, and goodness, we do not want any kind of problem and, suffering, then we must not harm or hurt other sentient beings. We should, relate positively to them.
That round deputy Chibo Yate, and a yen around the Pember Duby, debut thing but son of Townie, and Saint Delayanta, and a yen Pember do come to do, and they touch some but then he so they say come to Gishe to us.
So understanding that from our own positive and beneficial actions, that is when we benefit other sentient beings, when we care for them, then from such positive thoughts and actions that we are able to have, positive results. So with that knowledge and understanding, then in this life also we need to make more efforts to benefit other sentient beings, to think positively about others, to cultivate love and compassion and and altruism for others.
Never Mashi Pashi, never see a Pakani, Pember Drill, Sano Kartango Sena, Senki Yin Samalo Rani Gimbi, Senki, Tindru Inchin Samalo Rana, Kadin Chimo Imbajing about the Santongos. The town to be in, and then around the Ponga to the Apushi tourists.
How can we stop hurting or harming other sentient beings? If you ask, one of the ways to do that is if we reflect upon how sentient beings have been kind to us. When we see that connection, sentient beings have been very kind to us, and therefore, we cannot be ungrateful. So with that kind of understanding and a thinking or state of mind, then we, do not find ourselves harming others, even thinking about, hurting others.
And Binditandi, Malakadicha came called Dukchai, Mal never thinking something the ways. Senichak the ways.
As I talk about this issue, how sentient beings have been kind to us, do such thoughts such as this arise in your mind, you can say that, yeah, there are beings who have been kind to me, but then there are X, Y, and Z who have not been kind to me, and so why should I bother about them?
Honest. And it that transfer Tindi, any social paint anki, that pay social savashinki, that make your was. They tank the ways.
Okay, how about, someone and some people, who have been very nice to you in this life and who have given you a lot of love and care and who have, benefited you in many different ways. Consider such people in your life.
So that I let the sound of the Yakus Tangoris, carrying Sena, send the Lani Pechuran Yakus Shinkiti, and they pay Pember Dunkit, Ran Gabo Shingit, any 3,000 Younger Sang to West.
So now, as you imagine these, person or people who have been very loving and caring and who have, benefited you in many ways, do you think that this person or people will always be this way, kind, loving, caring, for you in different, times and different, states of existence?
That indeed any concept is not person that meet. And that ring to see and sunny, that any that do sang to the Tran data, any Dawan that alone that I do see him in there. Any Dunta Jema Tagana, Dawa Jema, Tolo Jema, and they Tagara Dugri some day each year, each tourist.
So can we have, trust in this person or these people who have been very loving, caring, and nice and kind to us now, that, we could say that they are not going to change. If this is the people, person or people we're thinking in the morning, that these people are not going to change in the afternoon or in the evening, or not the next day, or not this week, or not next week, not this month, not next month, not this year, not next year. Do we really have the certainty and the trust to say, confidence, that these people are going to remain just the way they are?
That the any Churang to Tola, when you want to cover it, the Temple Mabata. Tawa member, Temple Mabate, Churang to Shung Chai Jeres, me Yindak Tola Santona, the Mambo Yungu Duas.
So if we consider such questions, and maybe you might have experienced already the changing nature of relationships or the situations, or maybe we ourselves have not experienced these things, but we have seen or observed other people go through these things, how, relationships are changed from, in some sense, from, good to bad and worse, or how situations are changed from good to bad and worse.
Rang le Menduki, Rang Pe, Rang never singing, never says that Rang Tone, did never sing it in somebody, and the Nijik, Mijitis. Aneya Lotan Dawata Yamashen and those in the two Jenny. Social and Pentanke Junior that you do us. The Toronto was Tolashung and the cover me yin Tolashung at the Toronto Hakograbas.
I think Geshe's voice is really getting chopped into pieces. It comes out like that. Anyway, I'm listening as carefully as I could. Now consider another person, who we from our side, from our point of view, we consider that person, has harmed us, has not been nice to us, so we do not like this person per se or these people. But now consider more deeply, has any such person in our life that we knew of now later changed and become very close to us and our friends? And if we ourselves have not experienced such a thing, do we know of people who have experienced this, that before they didn't like each other and they were harming each other, but later, things change, relationships change from, worse to bad to good and better, and such the situations, and now they're good friends.
That need to draw the need Dalin Joa that can take some of Mabutani, those in this Tanguris. To the Tambina, and then Dalla Taki, the Anipe Condosaya Tanki, Mendeba Shea, Nil Taki, the Chabashea, that and dig Chagite, Kaya Pentochabo Yunguris.
So if we really consider such thinking or contemplation, reflection, and the reasons involved in our thinking, then really what happens is when we understand that relationships are not fixed, friends become enemies, enemies become friends, or they could, both of them, enemies could become friends, and friends could become enemies, and these things, do happen and have happened and may happen in the future. So when we consider these things very rationally and investigate these matters, then what we really come to understand deeply is that nothing is fixed here. So we cannot look at people who we see as enemies and as if there is something fixed nature here. They are forever and ever be our enemies, and we are going to hate them forever, or they are going to hate us forever. No, things could change. Nothing is fixed here. In the same way, and so our anger and animosity and hatred can be directed at them as if these are the fixed objects. Now the same thing goes with our friends or people we love so much and we see as our best friends or dear to us. And we cannot be obsessively attached to them as if, these people are fixed in the nature of friendship. They will forever and ever be our friends and they will never become our enemies. We don't know that. See, nothing is fixed here. So as we really deeply consider these matters, then we started to feel and understand that, we cannot be too extreme in the sense of our anger and attachment. We cannot be obsessively attached to friends and near ones and be gung-ho about them. Neither can we be so hating and, miserably hating other people as our enemies and be so gung-ho about that one, because nothing is fixed here. Things are in the state of flux.
Oh, yeah. That and so on, when a singing Kandichi, Rala Pentaba, the nation when you would take a Tanga to Sigina, Pentaya, the Jatamba, do Shavina, that Jatambinane, Ral never say a Tachi, not say that Jatu Guchkonga answer Pentadi. So they do some tongues, yeah?
So we in some way try to understand how friends could become enemies, enemies could become friends, and nothing is fixed in our relationships and situations. So therefore, we cannot be obsessively attached to friends or obsessively hate the enemies. But also now we need to kind of, add a new dimension to our thinking or reflection. That is, when we really look carefully, our relationship with other people, in most of the cases, people have been, more beneficial to us than not. When think in terms of, in other words, how much others benefit us versus how much others harm us, we give a number here. Okay, think about 100%. I think 95% of the time, people have been nice to us. Okay, only 5% maybe they have been nasty and bad to us.
So that senji yin chamalo to that now your so sang yin chamalo ne rally yin be senji that to know yin chin that do senji chamalo run kadi chimbo yin but in those train to go thing about the train to go.
So when we really think in terms of how other sentient beings have been kind to us, this is what we need to consider, that mostly sentient beings have been kind to us, like 95%. Maybe 5% they have harmed us or not being nice to us. So we really consider that all sentient beings, including the animals, when we think in terms of many lifetimes, that sentient beings have been kind to us in many different ways.
Tende kadi senji yin chamalo kadi chamba me train ane ngaran chog ta khunjul no ba shig marabas ngaran chog no ba shig ko kadi chamba member ta ane tende ke waran an pe pen ta ba pen ta be pen zang bo ta be kansa ji yin ba ji san ma tang ba shin thing no ba shig marabas.
So if we really feel and remember the kindnesses of all other sentient beings, of course, we are not going to feel hatred towards them. We are not going to think of harming them. So, when we really don't think about how sentient beings have been kind to us, or we even don't really consider that matter, this is why then we started to, find ourselves, hurting others.
So that the kadi chamba yin but that lozong na ma song do pen dan sinje the yin of the dangerous that the keepers simba sinje tangje the keepers ran le ha pe sinje yin the keepers zingo ta lozong ta kadina ka nang do was.
So we find in Lojong or mind training tradition or the text or thought transformation tradition, there are many good reasons and rationales being given, to support the thesis that sentient beings have been very nice and kind to us, and we should repay their kindness. And as Geshe quoted the stanza from memory from Geshe Langritangpa's 8 verses mind training or thought transformation, in which he says that may I be able to see all sentient beings as being more precious than a wish-fulfilling gem. And with that understanding and feeling, both day in and day out, may I be able to cherish other sentient beings more than myself. See? So that is really, how we train our mind to appreciate the kindness of others. And, we learn to cherish others more than self.
To Shebaya, ane Senji Yen la Mene, ane Senji Yen la Mene, ane Rangula Shamju Sim Shego to was.
Then the young Joseph getting so about Torskin.
Also, that consistent. Oh, yeah. Nandereda. Naranzo, ane Senji Yen, ane Kidatsachambuchi, race, carrying Sena. Naranzo, Julia, ane Kabe, and then Mark and Shaving in the Samalo, just thinking like the Shego those.
No. So the point I'm trying to drive home today is that we should, understand the reasons to be able to appreciate it and see that sentient beings are very precious to us. And as a matter of fact, that a lot of the good qualities, the positive qualities that we develop and the positive actions we do are due to, sentient beings. Sentient beings are the basis, for our development of positive qualities.
That's Shamba, Toronto, Mabu Koyer was some Shamba that Sevas, Shamba that Sevani with the Sachim in Bachitang around to 2000, Shibatamba Sung was. the thing in Bote, Shamba the Tsewa in Bote, Ranjuli Shesa, yet carry his sinking race.
You have heard so much about, love and compassion and how these are precious states of mind and we must all cultivate them. But, as we think in terms of cultivating love and compassion, Maitri and Karuna, so we could cultivate them, it is in relation to sentient beings. So again, the sentient beings are the basis for cultivating love and compassion.
Shambata Tsevani Bote, Shesa, yet Senki Remato, Sata, Dota, Hing, Semege, and Semega, Aneta, Jerusalem, Semege, the Ungabola Tennis Mendoas.
So it is in relation to sentient beings that we are able to appreciate and cultivate love and compassion. We cannot cultivate love and compassion in relation to inanimate objects. We don't cultivate, and we couldn't cultivate love and compassion in relation to rocks and pebbles and trees and leaves. We could only cultivate love and compassion in relation to, animate beings, not inanimate objects.
Yes. So that conditions and this is that Nayigane Shambat Ningi Shia Tiki Sinki Tengundo, Tegan Tele, and the Shanju Senbo Ranji Tanang Hubi Batangi, Shanju Senbo Ranji Sheba, yes, Senki and Mini, Tell a mini any rank Julia Shanju some Shebos.
So beyond the development of love and compassion, when we talk about cultivating altruism, bodhicitta, altruistic state of mind, now this could be cultivated, taking sentient beings as our focus. Focusing on sentient beings, we cultivate, altruistic mind of enlightenment.
Rimba Nindi same as that arrest. Karasana, Yage turned the Jordan, the Zobish, you tired that turning us.
So you ask, how is that? How do we cultivate altruism or bodhicitta, taking sentient beings as the focus? Because in the very nature of what altruism is, it is cultivated for the sake of benefit of other sentient beings. So we focus on all underlined sentient beings, and then we seek complete enlightenment for their sake or benefit. Such a state of mind is called altruism or bodhicitta.
Shanju just same state and Senki. Tangi and in Yagins, Senki, Dungili, Yundili Madame the dog shavings. Dingili Madame the dog shaving. Yanta was always a compana in Gogins and me was thinking a minute. I thought this was something to tango was.
So when we cultivate bodhicitta, or in Tibetan called Changchu Jisim, altruistic mind of enlightenment, we focus our mind on all sentient beings. And then, one of the techniques we use is that I would like to invite all sentient beings as my guest of honor. And I would like to find complete enlightened state in order to liberate those sentient beings who are not liberated from misery or suffering. I would like to seek enlightenment in order to liberate sentient beings from the two mental obscurations, obscuration to liberation and obscuration to omniscience. I would like to, find complete enlightened state in order to give sigh of relief to the sentient beings who are caught up in the unfortunate state of rebirth. So basically, we are focusing on sentient beings and their problematic situations and develop this really truly caring state of mind, genuine sense of caring, and it is for their benefit that we seek complete enlightened state. That's what bodhicitta is all about.
That's something that Tarang Shoking around Samalole, Narala Paya, Charansole Paya, Naran Paya chair to the Huevin Simsa, that's thinking in Kanditi in there. Tell any Muni Tony pay some never see a son chinton jammers. I can see Tangaran Thomas Map Combi in Johnny 10 to 10 Gratina, Tenzu Samal longer time but at the Losho, the name of the tank to a chevres, at the Singular never see a son Tani Yagomare, never seen a Yagomare, never seen some of the Tambi in a Yagomare Stamni, that the Maranso paper, kayak, Lengin and Haran used some Samba Shane, Yavado, San Pangres.
Can you edify? I will say again. So I have shared some of these, thoughts and ideas with the intention of benefiting all of you and myself as well. I thought that these are relevant to all of us, and we might all, appreciate these ideas and do reflect on these to derive benefit for ourselves and others. And so the main point that I'm trying to drive home here is that, we should, develop the state of mind not to harm or hurt sentient beings. So that's very important. Of course, we have been habituated deludedly for many lifetimes, and harmful thoughts might arise or do arise in our mind. But as soon as they arise, we should be able to stop them right there, and we should, try to bring to our mind antidotes to counteract such harmful thoughts. And by thinking that it is really not appropriate to have such a harmful intention, it's not appropriate at all to, act that harmful intent. And so we should really bring to our mind a positive way of thinking, and also remind ourselves of the sense of responsibility, that I have taken responsibility upon myself not to hurt, harm other sentient beings. Now we will return to where we left off in this wonderful text called a miscellaneous collection of Kadampa Geshe's advices.
Sanjay Kompa Toba Mabra, that toy Yamar. So that did Toba Shabala, Gunzo Sanjay and the Thunder, Sanjay saying, but the Rangi Shego, Shaba Shaba Jonko, Cousin Bas.
Just to remind you of the main topics that we, we're discussing for quite some time, last year, and so that is, we need to cultivate the two types of bodhicitta or mind of enlightenment, and they are conventional bodhicitta, conventional mind of enlightenment, and ultimate mind of enlightenment. So we need to cultivate these two minds of enlightenment within ourselves, without which we cannot attain complete enlightened state. In other words, we can never be a Buddha without these two minds of enlightenment. So if these are the minds of enlightenment we must cultivate, then the question arises, how do we do that? How do we cultivate these minds of enlightenment? So to answer that question, how can we cultivate the two minds of enlightenment? Of course, there are many different ways and approaches to do that. But we were discussing, and we did discuss based upon the words of Great Dom Tenpa, that there are three main points, key points or principal points, we call Tsawasum, literally meaning three roots. And then there are 9 supporting points or secondary points called Yalaku, literally meaning 9 branches. So basically there are 3 key points and 9 supporting points, and which basically comprehensively, if you will, provide us the methods, the best of the methods, as a matter of fact, to cultivate the 2 months of enlightenment. So we did cover all those points last year. And I remember, giving you, assignment last year. I said, well, there are those 3, main points and 9 supporting points, and those would be your assignment, and you should really think about them. And I just trust that you did that. And now I'm going to quickly maybe kind of run over through this, points. Okay, are you able to recall what are the 3, main or the key points, the 3 fundamental points here? I hope somebody is answering there. So Geshe said, well, nobody need to really speak up. He just has to raise the question so that all of us get a time to think about the answers in our mind.
Oh, yeah, that
So if you are able to recall, so that's very wonderful. If not, then you got to listen more carefully this time.
That tango didn't do him, boss. Tango de la carreta. Tangy.
Lochong.
I read it. Tango de Lochong by him, boss.
So now the first one is called Lochongwa, means mind training or training of the mind, as we say. And the second one is called accumulation.
Somebody thinking is
so the second one is accumulating merit, and then the third one is called searching for concentration. In other words, cultivating concentration or samadhi. So those are the 3 key points. So those are the 3 main points, and then when we talk about the 9 supporting points, basically we are looking into each of these main points more into details, if you will. So in other words, the 9 supporting points are more sort of elaborating on the 3 fundamental points. So the first main point is mind training or the training of the mind. Now it has 3 supporting points. The first one is meditating on impermanence. So in other words, if we want to train our mind, the first thing is we have to consider and reflect upon impermanence or transitoriness. Especially when we consider, the death and dying, and we consider that, that is sure to come. There's nothing mystery about that. and especially when we consider that we don't know when it's going to happen, uncertainty of time of the death, and what could really stand by us at that time and afterwards, there's nothing except the Dharma. So when we consider these really points and issues deeply, then we really develop this inspiration inside that before death hits me, I must make every effort to cultivate spirituality so that I can withstand the death and after death. So that's why it's so important. So now second supporting point of mind training is, you may recall, is called cultivating love and compassion. In order to cultivate and experience bodhicitta, altruistic mind of enlightenment, we must first cultivate great love, mahametri, and great compassion, mahakaruna. Without cultivating great love and great compassion, there is no any other way around or a back door to slip through and experience bodhicitta. As it is stated elsewhere in the profound prayers, that by way of cultivating great love, great compassion, and the special willpower to take responsibility of all sentient beings upon myself, may I be able to, generate and enhance bodhicitta for the benefit of all sentient beings. Please bless me.
That's somebody carries, and Damini Gompas. That did also a Kansak Dami, the church Dami the Gongo. Yes.
Then the third supporting point for the mind training is meditating on the two types of selflessness. Selflessness of a person and selflessness of phenomena. So basically what we see here is, first we meditate on impermanence, then we meditate on love and compassion, and then we meditate on the two selflessnesses.
That's
So now, out of the three main or the fundamental points, we talked about the first one, which is mind training, and its three supporting points. So now the second point, which I already mentioned, so you know that. What's the second main point? So that is accumulating merit.
Sanjay Gomba Toba Shebala, Sanjay down, Sanjay Gomba Toba down, Sanjay Sermuchi, number Nimbu the Julius Shebala, and it's so sad deciding about the average Gogers.
In order to cultivate bodhicitta, in order to become complete enlightened beings of Buddhas, we must, fulfill accumulation of merit and wisdom and purification of mental obscuration and negativities. So accumulating merit is essential for bodhicitta and enlightenment. In order to experience and generate the two minds of enlightenment, which are tremendously powerful state of mind, positive states of mind, we must accumulate a tremendous amount of merit.
Sanjay Kamdi de rank and the Jashero Pindon Kanando was Sunam Dembe, Sunam de me Samba Nachandus, Sunanami better domestic, Sunam Dembe me Samba Nachandrups Kanaris.
In a sutra called Gyatchen Riverto, I think it's called Avatamsaka Sutra. I'm not very sure, but I think it is. Buddha said, and Geshe quoted the lines, that people who have accumulated a lot of merit, so they will be able to fulfill their wishes. So accumulating merit is our second main point, and it has three supporting points. So how do we accumulate merit in a very powerful way is we do that in relation to the objects of refuge. So in other words, enlightened gurus or spiritual masters are the source of for accumulating merit, and enlightened beings, and which includes the spirituality or dharma, are the source for accumulating merit, and the spiritual community or sangha is the source for accumulating merit. So how do we and how can we accumulate a lot of merit in relation to lamas or gurus or spiritual teachers, if you ask? Of course, there are many ways, through making offerings and rendering service and all that. But the best offering, to gurus is to practice what gurus teaches us. And in other words, that putting the words of gurus into action, or implementing gurus' words is the best offering to gurus. So just to simplify this as much as I can, that is, if we listen to the words of the Guru, teachings of the Guru, and we abandon negativities and we accumulate positive actions, so that is the best offering to Gurus. That's what we call the offering of practice, Duve Cheba. And this is the best kind of offering we could make to Gurus as explained in the Lamrim treatises on the stages of path to enlightenment. Gurus cannot be pleased more than that. If we put their words into practice, we don't create negativities, we do positive things, that will, delight most our Gurus. The second sub-point is making offerings to the jewels, Ratnas, Buddhas, and Dharma, and Sangha. And here, of course, offerings can be material offerings and offering of practice. Now, the offering of practice, which as I explained, it also applies here too. But in terms of material offerings, now that depends upon our own, situations and abilities. So depending upon our own, the material situation, whatever we could afford, and then we should make offerings to the three jewels. And when we make offering, it's not so much what we offer, but it's more to do with how do we do that. We make offering with pure motivation, not out of some hidden agenda or some how you say, deceptive motivation. We do it out of pure motivation and according to whatever we could afford.
That Jinjurwa Chaba Shasi, Maturan Mevachi, Blend of the Launch in Teta Aniki, Jens and any Jens Dazo, Zekuni, Pure Dani, the Guamare, Jinjurwa Chaba Shas, they got 9 years.
It is stated elsewhere, as Geshe quoted the lines, that it says, whatever we could afford, materially, or whatever we do have, we could make offering of that. So what that really means is that, we don't go out of our way to borrow lump sum money to make offerings. Maybe that's not appropriate. We don't go and steal flowers from the next door neighbor's garden. Geshe didn't say that, but steal things from other people and then make offering. That's not right either. Do according to what we can.
That's it. Then do it. That somebody Gindula Ninko Trace.
So then the third supporting point is making offering and rendering service to Sangha or spiritual community.
Hold on. That Gindu de la that do you rest and the Katenta begin to and associate with years.
Sangha consists of two. There is what we call ultimate Sangha, and then there is ordinary Sangha.
That and then the Chapter chain is sung by the Karesana, and the conscious and sending conscious so to sung at the Karesana, so she again to Hinko get race.
And why in this case? Because the 3 jewels do also include Sangha or spiritual community, because it's a Buddha Dharma Sangha. Now why is Sangha again counted separately here? This is because this has to do with making offerings and rendering service to ordinary Sangha members.
That thing so cover the doing can't tuba the Shagma to Sena Sheni, Pinayahoyama, Sena maybe Tony. And that I Gindula Niki, Soja Pure and of the Nita, that you Soja Pure and of the Nita, Karina, that you can't do just so you pivot and rest in at the Sena maybe, they put double figures.
So again here also when we make offering to Sangha of ordinary monastics, we do what we could afford. We are able to do it, and we do it with pure motivation, not out of miserliness. It's just like we make offering, but we kind of like, well, not really. I want, or that was too much, or whatever. No such thoughts and thinkings involved. Just do it purely, whatever we could. Whether it's offering tea to them, or whether we are treating them with lunch or dinner or whatever food, but do it as much as we can and out of pure motivation, not out of, again, any other hidden motivation.
Yes.
So that was, the accumulating merit, the second main point, supported by the 3 sub-points, which are, making offering and rendering service to gurus, making offering to the 3 jewels, and making offering and rendering service to the Sangha, meaning Sangha of ordinary monastics.
That thing in the Java, Sumba Saki, Java Saki Sumbatari, Delani Young, Nancy is no Sum, Lucinandos.
Now, the third main point is literally called searching for samadhi or concentration, or cultivating concentration. Now, this is supported by 3 supporting points.
That thing is a gongkenti. This thing is Java, thing is a gongkenti, Kandiki Gogresana, Yojenda, Kandiki Dengresan, Tatipa Kananguaris.
So searching for concentration means those who would like to cultivate concentration. So such meditators or practitioners, what do they need to do? How should they do it? This is what we are talking about here. In other words, what are the qualifications a practitioner or meditator should have who is seeking concentration?
Children number that's so can't kill Lampe, thanks to the Domba Kandiki Yunaya. That thing about the Apostungu.
So the first thing first, meditators or the practitioners here, whatever vows and commitments they have taken, they should abide purely by those vows and commitments. That is a very important, important qualification.
That the Songja Telene, New York, there is Stav K. Lanil, Yen doing the task. Kello of the Neda, and it's going to K. Lani, Sungia Kita, Young K. Malana, ranking Sungia New York.
So when we talk about what we call, the maybe the broad term we use here is ethics, Tsultim, Shila, morality, which includes vows and commitments. Now the Shila or the ethics can be thought of in terms of two different ways. There is ethics because we promise and we make pledge to keep certain vows and commitments. So that kind of ethics is due to our own willingly making commitment to observe them. But then certain kind of ethics, it is due to the law of nature or because of the nature of certain actions. It's related to that. So therefore, in the monastic, the disciplines of ethics, literatures, there's mention of Rangshin Jikana Madhava. Certain actions, whether we have, do not really require any pledge to make. If we do certain actions, because of the nature of such actions constitute negative or positive. It could be. And for example,
Thanking him as you say, and Megi, you will usually number soon, number Yisum to Samalo, number Yunkin and that number Medin and Samalo Tati, where Rangike
so the actions, the three negativities of the body, the four of the speech, and three of the mind that I enumerated earlier. So those actions, everybody has to, watch out. In other words, it doesn't matter whether we have made a commitment or pledge to keep certain vows or not. Those actions are, perhaps you could say, universally applicable to one and all. Whether we said I'm observing some ethics, whether I made a pledge or not to observe ethics, because if we kill someone, that is negative. It doesn't matter you have a vow or not a vow. It is a negative, period. And so that's what we're talking about. So that's the one category of ethics. And the second one is the ethics which involves making pledges and commitments before Buddhas, gurus, and so on.
GP Lama let us so on the rank any Guji Lama, Lamas in Digdo. Rank Muji Lama, the T Lama Lama, GP Lama. Not until only someday you do that in Italia, which you go to.
And the second supporting point for the development of concentration is that we supplicate our spiritual masters or gurus. Although here it says lineage gurus, but we do supplicate or earnestly pray to our root gurus or the direct gurus from whom we have received teachings directly, as well as gurus and gurus. So in other words, the lineage masters.
Sunday Karikugresena, Ranga Lord, the Chosen door, the Chur London door, Lana Pachimeva, I thought you want this Sunday Kugres.
So what kind of a prayer or supplication we should make? For example, we supplicate them to bless and inspire us so that we are able to direct our mind genuinely into Dharma or spirituality, so that through their blessing and inspiration, we are able to succeed in cultivating the spiritual path within our mind, so that through their blessing and inspiration, we are able to overcome the obstacles on our way and we grow spiritually, successfully towards our goals. So we make such supplication to our direct and lineage gurus or lamas.
That somebody correction, then it is that's Gujuta, Ninja, somebody Carresena, and that Lu Carson, Dunziki Veneta, Ne Vembala, de Gueta, Ne Vembal de Chikshe.
Now, the third supporting point for cultivating concentration or samadhi is that we need to seek solitude or isolation, Wenpa. So this consists of two things, isolation of the body and isolation of the mind. So first thing, that in order to be free from the hustle and bustle kind of life, distractions, that we need to seek solitude, quiet place.
Lun Dunzil, Lun Dunzig Vempa, Sim Nantok Vempa, Stan Imbote, no Sangu.
So in other words, the two qualifications that practitioners or the meditators of concentration should have is that they or we must isolate ourselves physically from all the busy activities, hustle and bustle kind of life, and be in a solitude or peaceful place. And we need to isolate our mind, especially from the hustle and bustle kind of thinking, the thoughts, the preconceptions, all kinds of worries and concerns and anxiety and, hundred of those other things, disturbing thoughts in our mind. So it's very important to isolate our mind from the disturbing thoughts.
Singing Dencho Mehetan, the Jekin minus that can say so on yet the temperature Gobate, and then young Mabon soon yours.
So as Geshe quoted some lines that in many authentic Buddhist literatures, the importance of having these two qualities, and the need to isolate ourselves, physically and mentally from busyness and, the busy activities of life.
No. That he told Annie, he didn't have the dengue.
And additionally, we need mindfulness. We need Sheshin is yes, it is Sheshin over mindfulness. Yes.
The Kanshi, thing in this mental thing is the mental in this sign and call the Tanke get the Yungu you made the Tangi Sharashing it like he saying.
We also need of course we do need mindfulness, but the Sheshin is that's what's slipping in the back of my mind is introspection, because we need to introspection to be able to find out whether or not as we are doing meditation, whether our mind is getting distracted or whether it is becoming sluggish. So we need to check whether laxity and excitement are disrupting our meditation. So introspection is a spy that we need to employ, if you will, use here to watch out. So I think those are the important points. Basically we talked about what are the facilities and the qualifications we need to be able to cultivate concentration. So we all need to reflect on this. And we will stop there today, and I have some prayer requests here. First, I would like to, say the name of a person who passed away. His name is Michael Tumolo, so passed away, and prayer has been requested for him. Now I have a list of people who are feeling unwell, and prayers have been requested for their for recovery of their health issues. And the names are Noreen McLean, Raymond Gottsell, Marjorie Gentleman, Michael Gleason, Anna Lee from Alaska.
Nolas. That terrible. Nolas. And that Ranso, and she symptoms of and they didn't do some toya some time. Tagana Yeneg, nothing it enjoy it, and then when touching condition it enjoy natally, any toya turny, any Kuda, any somebody of the court to some Congress.
So let us, send our prayers and thoughts for all these people who requested our prayers and thoughts. And, those who passed away, we can send our prayers for them to be able to find good rebirths and then meet with spirituality and from then on take care of themselves, through such positive efforts. In the case of those who are not feeling well, we send our prayers for them to be able to recover from their sicknesses as soon as possible, and as they regain their health, may they be able to, develop interest in positive actions and spirituality, and through their own interest and efforts, may they be able to take good care of themselves, spiritually.
아니 나란조 참말로다 랭키도 최진시비 그 자올라 때네 산지 템바로 줬다 지윤은 내 봐죠 아니 템반진비 띵지시비 다 자위 윤업의 쩨베스 아 리스마시비 띵지시비 넘버 시비 담만은 구제 캬베 템바다 도지긴도 진짜 메밀현도 용어죠 아니 최종기기 쇼 포먼은 퀸디 샤원은 이선 좀 봤다 네 가르세다 기디 감데다 옌도 Let us
dedicate our collective merit for the flourishing of Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other great holy spiritual masters from all traditions live long and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual aspirations. May this and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and may beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. In short, we dedicate our collective merit for all kind mother sentient beings to be free from the fears and dangers of two types of mental obscuration, and may we all reach complete enlightened state quickly.
Shere Sewan Tenzin Gyeltsen Shabe Sinde Bado Tenyuro Sa Yi Beje Shuje Meto Tam Bedo Lenje Nyende Jembonde Sangye Jendo Mete Luwa Ye Dokwe Namda Kinglo Sheba Jo Edama Guru Rana Mande Lava Niyataya Amen.
Logan.
Thank you.
Logan.
Ya Kadampa.
The death again.
Honest. The Losakan.
Again.
Honest.